Welcome to the sports segment on My Community with yours truly, Bayonle Arashi. Hope you've been enjoying the show so far with Kola and Ada. Last week was the International Women's Day, Friday, March 8th. The women in the entire world were celebrated. And of course, on this segment today, I've also decided to celebrate women that have done so well in the sporting world. One of them, of course, is a Houston resident, but born in Columbus, Ohio, Simone Biles. In the past 12 months, Simone Biles has gone from being the greatest gymnast in the world to a symbol of resilience and mental toughness. We all know she did that great feat at the Rio Olympics, winning 4 gold medals for herself and 1 bronze, bringing her to the limelight of the entire world. The 4 feet 8 inches athlete, of course, last week took 2 years off the sport of gymnastics because of so many distractions for her, but of course she came back during last week US Classics thanks to the highest score ever recorded there by Simone Biles. She then came first in every event across the 2 days event of that competition at the US National Championship. But what made that event even more special was her message there about that is just above and beyond the sporting world. Biles wore a teal, the designated color, to represent the survivors of sexual abuse. 7 months earlier, she had spoken publicly for the first time about being sexually abused by the former USA gymnastic doctor Larry Nassar. You remember Larry Nassar? He was sentenced late last year, I guess, for his many misbehavior with young girls that was practicing, that were using their talent to bring honors to the United States of America. Another great athlete that we're celebrating on the show today is Naomi Osaka. The 21-year-old Naomi Osaka in March came to her real breakthrough, of course, performance as she won the India Wells, perhaps the biggest tournament on the women's tour after any Grand Slam event. A week later, this same Naomi Osaka faced her childhood hero. Who else? Of course, it is none than the greatest, of course, Serena Williams, the queen of court. And of course, Naomi Osaka has never looked back since then. Of course, finally, on this International Women's Day celebration, there was a great message from Serena Williams herself last week, talking about women empowerment, empowering women that are working mothers in the sporting world. That they are not just going to be housewives, they are not just supporters, they are not just leaders. They also need to be mentored, they need to be supported. And of course, kudos to that queen of tennis court for coming out to speak for the people in her group. Exactly there. Very best wishes going to Serena Williams on this show. Of course, I move quickly now to football and call it soccer in this part of the world. Manchester United first Premier League loss was recorded this past weekend. Of course, they lost to Arsenal Football Club 2-0. That is about the first defeat for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he said it himself in his word. He said he felt that was the lowest point in his career. Of course, Solskjaer already forgot that he was actually coaching a very small club in Norway before he was called to Manchester United. Don't take it hard on yourself, coach. That was just one of those things that happens in the game. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has won 10 straight games for Manchester United. That is not a bad feat at all. Of course, the biggest one for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was him traveling to the Parc des Princes in PSG, defeating them by 3-1 after they had already lost 2-0 at Old Trafford in the UEFA Champions League round of 16. And of course, we all know that now Manchester United, Ajax Football Club, FC Porto of Portugal, Tottenham Hotspur, they confirmed their spot last weekend in the UEFA Champions League last 8. And you know which the result that was most surprising, of course, among all of them was that one between Ajax Amsterdam and of course Real Madrid Football Club. They defeated Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu by 4-1 on that day. Remember, I mentioned it on the show last week that something miraculous might just happen in that game, but the one that shocked me the most was that victory of Manchester United against PSG. And I said it here and I'm repeating it again, that for that defeat against PSG has not shown any seriousness even with their equipment, with Neymar, with Cavani, with the Maria, with all the top players they have in that club. But of course, this past week we also confirmed the other 4 teams that joined those 4 in the last group, in the last 8 of the UEFA Champions League. And of course, we'll show you some highlights of those teams that moved up alongside the 4 that qualified the upper week. Of course, I'm going to end this week's segment on a very sad note. Of course, last week we lost 157 souls, 157 of them in the Ethiopian airline crash. The flight was traveling from Addis Ababa to Nairobi, Kenya, and of course, just 6 minutes after the flight took off, the flight disappeared from radar. And of course, we lost one of our own in the sporting world in that flight as well. Former Kenyan Football FA chairman Mr. Hussein Swale was coming from Egypt, where he had gone to be a match commissioner for a CAF Champions League game in Alexandria, Egypt. Of course, we lost that great sports executive in that crash, and many great people that were lost in that crash. Of course, from here on this show and on behalf of every one of us here at Afrocentric television station, we wish all the families I hope there's no word for it, there's no word to explain it. 157 souls lost in that. We wish them to be really come back, to be comforted, and of course the best from here. My name is Bayonle Arashi. I'll see you guys next week, God willing. Bye bye now.